Hej alle sammen, kan I høre mig? Hvis I kan høre mig, så må I meget gerne skrive ja tak ude i højre side. Fantastisk. Og er lyden god? Hvordan fungerer lyden? Er alt okay? Super. Vi giver den lige 1 eller 2 minutter mere, før vi går i gang, så får vi lige de sidste med. Super. All right, everyone. Welcome to Nordic Social's Black Friday Paid Social Strategies webinar. Today we're going to do this presentation in English because I know we have some English clients and others who are not completely comfortable with Danish, so we'll be doing everything in English today. I am able to see everyone's comments as well. If there are any questions or important things to point out, you're welcome to share it outside in the chat, and I will address that as we go. I will try to collect all the questions and answer them in the end, and then I think we should just get started. So can everyone see my screen right now? Do they see the agenda? It should be fine. If I can just get one yes, that would be amazing. Perfect. All right, let's jump into it. So today we're going to start with a short introduction. Then I'll talk a little bit about the post-iOS 14 landscape and how to track performance during Black Friday in 2022. Then I'll be sharing 20 concrete Black Friday learnings and talk a little bit about lead ads best practice, what you should be doing right now and how to prepare. And then in the end, we can get to some questions. I expect the presentation will take about 40 minutes, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. So a quick introduction to myself. My name is Alex, and I'm one of the founders and partners of Nordic Social. We are a social media agency, and my role here is that I'm specialized in paid social, and I work a lot with paid social clients. I have 8 years of experience with digital marketing, and I'm also a TikTok enthusiast. So I've been working a lot with TikTok the last couple of years. But today we'll mostly be talking about paid social and Meta. And then if anyone has a TikTok specific question, you can always ask me that later. So a little bit about us. I'll just spend 1 minute on this. Instead of being like a classic agency that does everything, we're 100% specialized in social, and that kind of covers everything from TikTok to LinkedIn. So for us, that's a pretty big space. We work with a lot of different types of clients. Mostly it's within e-commerce, retail, and FMCG, but we also have a few tech and B2B clients. The accounts that we work with are usually clients that are ambitious and understand the value of social media. So we work in the medium, like the mid-size to the high-end level within the industry. I'll talk a little bit about the post-iOS 14 landscape. So I wanted to start by just looking at a very unique case. In this case specifically, we started out only Facebook ads, Meta ads in one specific country for a client, and they wanted to break through in that country. We didn't do any other marketing. The only thing we ran was paid social ads, no influencers, no Google or anything like that. So what we saw in this specific case is that we started in August, and over time we slowly scaled the revenue that we were generating for the e-commerce site to 300,000. And the blue line here shows the revenue that we were able to track with a full setup in Meta, and the red one shows what we were able to track in Shopify. And we actually only had about 52% trackability, even though everything we did came from paid social. And the reason why this is interesting is because it shows how little trackability we really have today. With most clients, we estimate that we have about 40 to 60% trackability on what we do, even with like the best kind of tracking setup with everything included. So how do you accommodate this? Well, for Black Friday, you should be sure that you have a holistic reporting and data setup. That means tracking CMS data, looking at Google Analytics, and collecting the channel-specific data. For Facebook, you want to make sure you have the conversion API implemented, the aggregated event measurement, and the domain verification for all sites. And then the last thing that you should really try to do, especially during sale periods like Black Friday, is to consolidate as much as possible. That means running few campaigns and ad sets and more focus on ad platform data and maybe even optimizing towards mid-priority events, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. So how do we track our Black Friday performance? Well, one thing we try to look at a lot during sale times, but also just in general, is what we call the total ROAS. So that's basically you take the total revenue divided by the total ad spend, and you're able to kind of see what is the how many times do we get our ad spend in return when we're spending. And this can be across all channels, and it's something that should be monitored very closely when we're really working hour to hour. The second thing that we like to look at is what we call the total CPA. So that's basically all the marketing spend divided by the total amount of hours orders, and that is a way of tracking how much we're paying in total for a new customer during Black Friday. You can base this on new customers and just customers in general, and you should really have a target for this for Black Friday. Other things that we really look at now in general that we didn't look that much at before, but this is especially important during Black Friday, is that we focus on the click-through rates, where we have 100% trackability. Usually you want to try to be above 1%. If you're above 1.5% on your click-through rate, you're doing very well. You want to look at the engagement rate of the ads, how many people are actually engaging with it. This is a good indication of the quality of the ad, especially if you try to get engagement. And then you also need to look at the watch rate, especially if you're running videos in top funnel. So during Black Friday, don't only look at performance, but try to look at some of these on-platform metrics that are really important as well. Here we go. So how does this e-commerce performance dashboard look? Well, usually you want to have a kind of holistic setup where you look at all the performance on the site and the backend. Then you want to have your Facebook ads performance and maybe your Google ads, and then maybe something for TikTok. And what we like to do in times like this is to try to focus and look at the holistic performance, but also try to at times look into the specific channels to see how they are doing. And this is something that we really need to do in order to find out if we want to scale up or scale down. So that was a little bit about iOS 14, and now we'll be talking about some of our Black Friday learnings. So now we're just going to get straight to the point. I have about 20 concrete things that you guys should implement in your Black Friday strategy, or things that you need to consider. So the first one we get asked about a lot is the Black Friday budget. How should you be allocating the budget during Black Friday time? So this could be during Black Week, it could be during all of November, it could be well, basically, most people do it as looking at November as a whole, and then they try to isolate Black Friday. Generally, most of our accounts will look something like this. Let's say we have 1 million in ad spend for November, then about 70% of that will be spent in top funnel trying to acquire new customers. About 150,000, 15% will be spent on acquiring leads up to Black Friday. And then we have about 10-15% being spent on existing clients and retargeting both mid and bottom funnel. This is how it will look for most accounts, but of course it varies a lot depending on whether you want to run top funnel during Black Friday. And this is a very big question that you should ask yourself. So how much of the budget should be spent on lead ads before? Should you run top funnel ads on Black Friday? And how much can you spend on retargeting while controlling the frequency? This is something that you should be looking at already now. We have some clients that are actually taking more than half of their budget and investing that in lead ads up to Black Friday because the prices are getting really expensive. If you have good success with lead ads from the past, this is something that I would recommend. I'll be talking a little bit about the two others shortly. So the second thing that we recommend doing is going through your performance from last year. Look at November, take notes into which ads performed well. Can you reuse some of them? Which audiences did well? Can we reuse some of them? What was the media spent? And what are the targets today? So let's say you want to do 1 million in revenue last November. Maybe this year it's 1.5. Well, then your media budget should also follow that increase. And this is very important. This is a lot of people think they can spend the same amount of money, but we have to expect that the CPM prices are going to be higher. So the third thing you really need to think about is whether you want to run top funnel. And it's a really big decision because it's expensive to run ads during Black Friday. So this year we're expecting a lot of discount. We're expecting a price war. Everyone's going to be running crazy offers because a lot of the businesses are behind on revenue. So if you have large discounts, if you have a small customer base that you can't rely on, if you create new offers every day, and if your order value is low, these are things you really need to take into consideration. So if you have a lot of potential for growth and you need to get a lot more revenue through this year, and that's what you're aiming for, you should definitely be running top funnel. But if you don't have those good offers, or if you have retailers that are selling your products, then it's much more difficult. So whether you should run top funnel this year really depends on how much discount you're going to run. And if you don't have a lot of customers that you can already rely on, previous customers, then this is a great time to acquire new ones. Most of our clients actually only run retargeting during Black Week. I don't know if it's the majority, but I would say it's like maybe 50-50. And this is due to the fact that they're really focusing on profitability this year and not just growth. So if you want to grow top funnel, sure. But if you only want to try to make it as profitable Black Friday as possible, you can get really far only using retargeting and targeting existing customers. So what should your audiences look like during Black Friday? Well, you probably want your broad demographic baseline audience, which could be all women between 25 and 45 with an interest in something specific. And then you probably also want your value-based lookalike within a percentage range that's reflected in your budget. Those are the two main ones in push. In retargeting, you need to leverage every single piece of pixel audience data you can. So all the red ones here, these are on-site pixel data where you only have a limited trackability. But if you haven't yet included Instagram and Facebook interactions, video views, lead formula opened, and newsletter subscribers in your retargeting, you should do this as soon as possible, because this is where we have 100% trackability and where we can really create those large audiences. Especially the video views is important. If you're not running that today, set up that audience as soon as possible. Number 5 is to run catalogs through Black Friday. So if you're an e-commerce company, you're probably using a product feed and you're doing dynamic product ads. We recommend using config.io to customize your product feed so that they look less like what's on the left-hand side and more like what's on the right-hand side. You're going to be running your DPS retargeting during Black Friday. You might as well communicate that you actually have this offer, that you're running Black Friday and that the products are now cheaper. And the config guys are really good at helping you creating these kind of Black Friday overlays. So I would recommend using them. This one is probably the most important one today. I brought some numbers for a client where we spent 16,000 krona and made 326,000 in revenue during Black Friday. So that's a really high ROAS. As you can see, it's about 20. And how do you achieve that? Well, you need to have your audience with all the existing customers ready for Black Friday. The easiest ones to sell to are those that are already customers in your business. So you need to have that, what we call it step 4, or the golden audience. It's basically just existing customers that get specific offers for them. And this is where you can really get a lot of orders during Black Friday. The 7th one is something that we get asked about a lot. How long should your Black Friday be? Well, that depends on a lot of factors. If you want maximum performance, we generally recommend to do as long a Black Friday as possible. So that would be a Black Week starting Monday the 21st and then ending Monday the 28th on Cyber Monday. If that is the case, you can really leverage your Facebook ads a lot more. You have more time for testing and scaling and doing different things. Generally, Black Weekend is okay as well, but 3 days is a very short time for Facebook ads really to pick up due to learning phases and errors that might occur along the way. One thing we don't recommend is to do only one day. If you're running ads, that can be really difficult because you can't get that much out of an ad set in 24 hours. So we generally recommend the Black Week, which is 7 days, 8 days in total, or we recommend the Black Week plus Cyber Monday, which is 4 days. But generally, I think we're going to see a lot of Black Weeks or even Black Months this year because a lot of companies are behind. Days one is to make sure that you are ready for the main date. This graph kind of shows the sales volume of Black Friday in 2020. And what we see here is that a lot of people will get ready to buy at midnight. And why is this important? Well, it's important because you need to make sure that all your ads are ready, scheduled, approved, and processed for that very moment. So you might even want to consider starting your Black Friday 30 minutes before, just to make sure your ads get rolling. And we need to remember that some people are still, purchasing and buying until 1 or 2 o'clock and shopping and trying to get those few offers, good offers. And then during the day, it will kind of start to go up and stabilize again. So it doesn't start in the morning. It usually starts at midnight. This is important for your ads. The ninth one is to make sure you have the right campaign structure. Back in the days, it would look a lot something like this, where you have a bunch of campaigns and a lot of ad sets within per country. This year, you need to go for something like that. You would ideally want 4, maximum 5 unique campaigns per country. I'll get into the specifics soon and show you how that could be set up. But you really want to try to consolidate as much as possible to get the learning through, especially if you're a smaller business and you're not running really big budgets. So how do you build a funnel? Well, during Black Friday, we'll usually be running a 4-step funnel that looks something like this. We have our top funnel where we're running conversion, our mid funnel where we're running conversion as well. This is people who've interacted with Facebook, Instagram, or triggered a video view. Then we have our step 3. This is where we target everyone who's been to the site, looked at products, or added something to the cart with conversions and DPA. And then we have the step 4, which is the golden audience, as we call it, where we're only targeting existing customers with conversion ads. So how should that look? This is being recorded and I'll send this out afterwards, so you'll be able to build something around it. But generally, this is how we want it to look during Black Friday. We have a broad baseline and a lookalike in our top funnel. And here we're running, those broader ads. Then we have our step 2 to 4, which is the mid funnel and bottom funnel retargeting, where we're really leveraging all of those audiences that I was talking about before. And then down here, we have the step 1, where we'll usually be running a broad-based interest-based audience, and then probably a lookalike as well. And this could be a lookalike on all the existing subscribers minus the ones that are being subscribed today. So this one is probably also one of the most important ones of today. How should you work with your Black Friday content? Well, there are some things you need to be aware of. So the first one is that using Black Friday in the creative, writing that is something that is really important. Mention when it's live. Try to use black and white, preferably yellow and black if possible for a higher click-through rate, but anything that stands out, and make sure you use a lot of black. Always try to mention how much you can actually save. You have to be aware of the new Danish marketing law in terms of you can't write that it's up to 90% off if you only have 1 or 2 products with 90% off. So please read into the legal frameworks around this, but the whole idea is that you need to mention what can you possibly save. Other than that, a good strategy is to mention that there are new deals every day. You need to make sure that you communicate this. You can do that by taking deals on and off as you go, but just communicating that something new happens every day really pushes for urgency and scarcity, which is something that works well during Black Friday. And then you want to make sure that all your ads are generic so they can run for all of Black Week. You don't want to do any ads that says 1 day left, 2 day left, 3 day left, or something like that. You want to make sure that it's applicable throughout the whole period. So if something really scales well, you can just increase the budget up towards those 20% a day without restarting the learning phase. So one thing that you need to remember for Black Friday, and this is some data from Confect, is that During Black Month, a high text amount performs much better than a content with low text amount. So here we have a really good example where they're saying Black Weekend, they're showing the date when it's running, they're saying how much you can save. And this is because during Black Friday, people are not really triggered by awesome content or great videos. They only care about discounts. They want to know how much can I save? Are they running Black Friday? Because they are in shopping mode and they are in saving mode. So the messaging is much more important than the creativity during Black Friday. This is something we've seen the last couple of years. Other things to take into consideration is that all the creatives, copy, and ads should be created now. You need to get ready as soon as possible because you also need some time to review and add or remove things. You need to set all the ads up in good time. I mean, if you have all your ads ready and processed and reviewed like 7 days before Black Friday, you should be fine. You want to be able to use scarcity and urgency as much as possible. And generally, we recommend video in the top funnel and single image ads in mid and bottom funnel, but it doesn't really matter that much during Black Friday because it's all about the messaging again. If you can communicate your Black Friday offers with a very simple still image, that's pretty much always just as good as a video. I have some good examples of that coming up as well. Furthermore, you need to remember that you can create ads based on top performers by looking at your general copy and creatives and try to turn them into Black Friday ads. You can also look at the last year. One general rule I like to look at during Black Friday is that you need to have at least 100 to 200 in daily spend per ad. So don't try to go crazy with a lot of ads during Black Friday. You can like put 20 ads into an ad set and run some dynamic creative ads, but in the end, I would much rather have a few very simple still images that are just explaining the offers and then showing different products that put up in different ways. And then something that we really see works well during Black Friday is bundles or starter packs. People are in the mentality of buying bulk. When they are on the side, if they're going to commit to buy something from you, it might as well give them a great offer where they can get a bunch of stuff for cheap. So try to bundle things. We have some clients that do really well in terms of this. Looking at how you can create your content, we generally look at the user-generated content, which is where you can get creators to talk about your Black Friday. You have your own content, which is where you can do the more simple branded Black Friday single image ads and videos. And then you have your dynamic product ads. The most important during Black Fridays is usually the own content. It's where you want to have just your still images like the ones I showed you before. So don't try to go too crazy during Black Friday regarding content and be creative about all these things. Mostly it's just about the messaging. And that's kind of like the key point here. Cool. It's going to open my presentation. Here you go. So here are some examples of some really good pieces of content. There's one from T-Box here where they say up to 70% off holiday sale. We have these from Arc Copenhagen where you're showing 50% off Black Friday. It's black background, it's yellow. It's clear that you can save a lot. There's a lot of focus on what you can save. And then there's this Pura Vida ad where they're saying 50% off plus free shipping plus free gift with purchase. It's like, it's all about the messaging here. But if you can, you want to show off some product as well, like these guys are doing. If you can, try to use vibrant colors. This is something that stands out a lot. We generally get better conversion rates on things that stand out during Black Friday. There are going to be a lot of ads like this or like the super simple black ads that are not too recognizable. You might want to test also using some vibrant ads where you really have some good and interesting colors. When you don't have vibrant ads, you need to think about how dark the content should be. It's very clear in all the data from Config that the more dark the content is, the more black colors we're using compared to lighter colors, the better the purchase rates are. So people are really looking for those black colors when they're scrolling on Facebook and Instagram. They want to see, okay, who's running this Black Friday? That's what they care about. And outside of Black Friday, it's actually the opposite. People are more, they click on and convert more on light content. We finally got some proof from the Config that emojis in ad copy increases conversions. Generally, we like to always encourage using emojis in content. During Black Friday, you can use some of these really fun ones like the black heart or maybe the cat or the hat, which are interesting to use as well. But using emojis during Black Friday, it just increases the ability to kind of get people's attention and tell a story with the ad copy. So this is something that I would recommend as well. Another thing is that generally logos in creatives is something that decreases performance. But during Black Friday, it doesn't really matter. So if you're not putting logos on your ads regularly, like in normal times, well, then maybe you should consider doing it now, because you're spending all of this media budget and you're getting so many impressions. You might as well get the branding with you, because it's not going to affect whether people are going to buy. They don't care about that. They only care about the messaging and how much they can save. We're going to skip this one. So one thing you really need to remember is this trend of what's called deflated December. So this is some data from Meta itself. And generally what we see is over the last couple of years, people have been saving up more and spending more in November than in December across industries. So this is actually a graph that shows online purchases visible to Facebook. This is pre-iOS 14. So this is where they had a lot more data. And what they could see is that what's been happening the last couple of years is that a lot of people are buying their holiday gifts. They are preparing all the purchases for the year for this Black Week. And this is where they go crazy and buy. And they usually do this around Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Those are usually the two biggest days based on our data as well. And then you'll see some kind of deflation during December. You also need to consider this when you're making your budget. The majority of our clients are spending the same or more in November compared to December. And this is because Black Friday for a lot of businesses this year is what's going to kind of get them back on track. E-com, as most people know here, is down a lot. Conversion rates have been falling quite a lot the last kind of 3 to 5 months. And because of this, we're expecting deflated December to be even bigger this year, because so many businesses are going all in on Black Friday. And for those of you that are participating that are not running Black Friday, I don't know if there are any, but of course, turn up all your ads. There's no reason to be in competition during these times if you're not running it. So when you're making your budget for November and December, take into consideration the deflated December, which is a trend that we believe is going to be even bigger this year. So the other one interesting graph that we have, this one's a bit old, but it's not changed that much. It's from 18 and 19, is that we generally see that around the middle or beginning of November, so 10 to 15th, things really start to take off. A lot of brands are starting to run early Black Month or Black Week or something like that, and they're kind of cheating and getting early started. And that's as soon as consumers realize that, they start buying. Most of them are not necessarily waiting for Black Friday, but there are always some that are doing their research and are waiting, especially for these brands that they're following, to do their Black Friday and their Cyber Monday. And you have to expect that your majority of your sales are going to be from the middle of November or early November to the early December. And generally, what happens is that as soon as we hit the 15th to 18th, people stop buying online unless they're extremely confident that they're going to get their orders. And the only people that are really shopping on the 15th to 20th or 15th to 24th are people that are shopping for holiday gifts. I would say definitely the majority of them. So you will be able to see this in your push marketing, that over time your ROAS will kind of follow this line. And as soon as it gets below the threshold, you probably want to stop your top funnel and only run your retargeting. And then once those go below the threshold, or like your KPI, you turn those off as well. And the majority of the online clients we work with turn off all of their ads on 18th or 20th, depending on how big they are and what their delivery times are. We don't have that great success after the 18th of December because people are still kind of worried that they won't get their package in time. So here are some things that matter a lot during the shopping season. So speed of delivery, product availability, and click and collect. If that's something that you're working with where people quickly can pick it up, that's a good thing as well. The closer we get to the holiday season, the more important these things become. The further away we are, like if we're in November, these things are much more important. Discount offers, free shipping, and coupons. So as time moves on, these kind of switch sides. What you really need to focus on during Black Friday is the messaging. People care about stuff being on sale. They want offers. They're hunting for cheap offers. They want to support local businesses. They're looking at reviews and recommendations. So social proof is really important. And then anything that they can get, which is new, which is very rare during Black Friday because most brands are just selling existing products or old products. That's really good if you can put anything in that's new or make specific Black Friday offers or Black Friday products, like a Black Friday mystery box or a Black Friday collection or something like that. That's really something that people are looking for because they don't expect it. So if they can find it, they are happy. Cool. And now we're going to be talking a little bit about lead ads. Hopefully, the majority of people listening here today are running lead ads already. We generally recommend during these times where conversion rates are low that you should spend at least 30% of your total budget on lead ads before Black Friday. We see right now that some clients are moving their entire top funnel conversion spend over into brand awareness and lead ads because they're not getting the results that they used to, and it's not as profitable as it was before. So we have some that are running a lot of lead ads right now, and this is kind of a whole art in itself that we've perfected over the last couple of years. So I'll talk a little bit about that. So again, I'll bring in a unique experiment. This is a very unique case where we tried testing two different things against each other. We wanted to see where do we get the best results. Do we get that by running giveaways, where we're giving something away for free in return for a sign up, or do we get it by giving exclusive access or discount coupons in exchange for a sign up? So we tracked the Klaviyo data and we ran this test in January and we collected a lot of leads. And then we saw that over time, the ROI, the return on investment on the giveaway leads that we generated was a lot higher. And why is this? Well, this is because when you run lead ads with giveaways, you get much cheaper leads. You get the cheapest leads that you can possibly get. And when you're running something for a sign up or 15% discount code, you can expect the price to be 3 to 5 times higher. So you're automatically getting a much higher volume here. And if your email marketing is good, then this in the end will be much better for your business to run the giveaways. The only downside that you have to remember is that you're getting more subscribers and more of them are relevant, which also means that your Klaviyo subscription or whatever CMS system you're using, email marketing system you're using, is going to be more expensive. But we've done this test a couple of times and we now swear completely to giveaways because we can really get the volume for Black Friday. So right now we have clients where we're generating leads for like half a Danish crown or 1 crown or 2 crowns per lead, and it varies a lot from market to market, so in terms of countries, but also in terms of industries, audiences, target groups, all this. But there are some things you can do across. So one thing we generally recommend doing right now is what we call the Black Friday giveaway. This is a giveaway where you give something away on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, so people have to be signed up for that. And they also get on the email marketing list so they can get offers. Even better if you do exclusive offers. The higher the value of the giveaway, the lower your CPL will be. You want to test videos against images, but generally it's not too much about the creative, but much more about the messaging and the offer. And then you want to consider doing lead ad collaborations, which I'll show you a little bit about, and doing dynamic creatives. So pretty much all our lead ads today are running through what we call a dynamic creative. This is where you're able to test different variables. So you'll be running, for example, 5 different primary texts, 10 different creatives, 5 headlines, 5 descriptions, and 5 CTAs. And this allows Meta to find out where you get the cheapest leads. So if you look here, it's identified somewhere it's getting them for 2.2. Some of them were for 7.8 or 3.6, but it's kind of finding the perfect combination in order to get that low CPL. And this is how you should be running lead ads in 2022. There are some disadvantages with it, but generally the CPLs are much lower, and it also reduces the ad fatigue. You can do a breakdown and look at the performance depending on the CTA or the primary text or the creative. So it's still better than doing it the old way with just running a bunch of different lead ads, but it's not recommended as a replacement for an A/B test if you really want to test something specific. So yeah, here's an example of things you could change. You change the text, the images, the headlines, the link descriptions, and the CTA buttons, and then you can try to run a big test of a lot of different variables. Here's a really good example of a lead collaboration, buying a t-shirt and Barron's going together and giving away 10 shirts and 5 shirts, 10 t-shirts and 5 shirts. What they're doing right here is the perfect framework. They have a high value. You win a lot of products. They use the logos and get the branding. They visualize the price. It's really easy to see what you can get. And when you see this, you're like, wow, I can get all this for my wardrobe. It's psychologically, it works really well. And then they use words like win and giveaway inside the creative. And this is something we try to do all the time to really get those cheap leads. This is like the perfect framework, in my opinion. So how do you run your lead ads? Well, you'll probably, for this Black Friday lead ad, want to run a lookalike on subscribers and a broad baseline where you're running a bunch of different ads or dynamic creative. And then for the step 2 to 4, which is retargeting mid and bottom funnel, you'll retarget every single metric audience that you can do based on Facebook data. And then, of course, you exclude the existing subscribers. This is very important. Right. So another big question that we get is one or several ad accounts during Black Friday. And the reason for this is that some people have been very unlucky and have had their ad accounts shut down during Black Friday or during important months. Some of the really big clients, we have maybe 3 ad accounts. It's rare, but we're doing this only in order to be assure us against the risk of something shutting down. If you're spending $1 million a month or something like that, you don't want to be relying on one account because it's so crucial for your business. So what are the pros of having one ad account? Well, you can do cross-border business, which is a cool tool to work with. There's less work with the setup. It's you don't have to do things across accounts, and you can duplicate things easier, and there are fewer audiences to set up and work with. So one ad account is generally easier. But if you have several ad accounts, you have less risk in terms of ad account shutdowns. You can divide the currencies based on the countries, and it's easier for people to get an overview if they're an intermediate. If they're not like really pro paid social advertisers, some of them will divide it up just to kind of get a better overview. We've seen that as well. But the majority of accounts should probably have one. But if you're spending a lot, please do consider running different accounts. All right. Retargeting content, really good idea to run this during Black Friday as well. Try to Black Friday them to make them a bit more black and yellow and all that. But the point is, yes, really we want to show this is kind of ads where we're running a super simple quote, and then we're just putting 5 stars in there, and we're using Trustpilot. And this is something that's good to have running during Black Friday as well in your mid and bottom funnel. One thing you can consider doing for Black Friday is using this tool called Influee. Influee is basically a platform where you get a bunch of creators in different countries. You send out your products, they make content. It's really cheap, and you can get a lot of content really quickly because they are not influencers, they are creators. So this is something we like to work with a lot as well. The big discussion regarding lifetime versus daily budgets, there are a lot of different opinions on this, but I'll give you mine. Lifetime is really good for time-limited campaigns where you have a set budget, you know what you're going to spend, and it's also good in terms of being able to say which days you want to spend more or less, and when you don't want to spend, it usually gives a better long-term performance, like really long-term, and it's good for companies with volatile sales. The majority of our clients will be running a daily budget during Black Friday because it's good for evergreen ads, it allows a lot more flexibility for scaling, and it's easier to work with in a dynamic way. Usually on a long term, let's say a 6 to 12 months top funnel campaign, it will give worse performance, usually, but not always, depending on how volatile the sales are. So if you have some kind of pretty stable sales and it's not varying too much month to month, you probably want to be looking at daily as a whole. But during Black Friday, we like to run our campaigns as daily budgets. And then there's the learning phase. If you're working with Facebook ads, you're probably the guy on the right, asking yourself at night, how do I get out of the damn learning phase? And this is something that's extremely important during Black Friday. So what affects that precious learning phase? Well, it doesn't affect it if you turn off ads, if you make very small changes in the text or small changes in the budget of less than 20%, or adding new ad sets. So you can do this as you want during Black Friday. Things you don't want to do is changing campaign objectives, changing content, adding new ads, change the events you're optimizing for, pausing your ad set in 7 days or more, or changing the bid strategy. So please make sure that your whole setup is bulletproof before you click that button. That is what's really important here. Automatic versus manual placement. We're going to skip this one. In the end, I want to say a really good idea for Black Week is to look for inspiration. Facebook Ads Library is a great tool for that. You can only see which ads are live right now. So that's kind of an issue. But if you're smart this year, you'll take 1 or 2 hours out to look at all your competitors and the companies that you look up to and screenshot everything they're doing. Because there's so much great inspiration that you can draw from that by just looking at competitors and great players in your industry during this time. So we're going to be doing this a lot this year. We're going to build the ultimate catalog of Black Friday ads, for examples, for our presentation next year. That was that. Thank you for your time, everyone. And that was exactly 40 minutes. So I think what we're going to do now is take some questions. Let's stop with this. Cool. I can see that there are already some questions in the chat on the right-hand side. If anyone has some other ones, you can start writing them now, but I'll go through the ones that I've seen until now. So Martin asked, would you consolidate these audiences? I would recommend having one top funnel campaign with 2 audiences. One could be a broad baseline and one could be a lookalike. And then in your step 2 to 3, there are 2 options. Either you consolidate them and put everything together. That's one option, one big retargeting ad set because you're running Black Friday, or you can divide it into step 2 and step 3 and step 4. If you want to do different messaging to existing customers, to people that are in the middle funnel and the bottom funnel, you can divide them up. But generally, it depends a lot on how much pixel data you have. So I would have to look at the specific case. Someone asked, how does sale volume look for Thursday evening? So I expect that you mean the Thursday right before Black Friday. So last couple of years, the majority of the clients that we work with only actually ran Black Friday. So I don't have any, or Black Weekend, not that many ran Black Week. It's clear that the ones that ran Black Week did really well because they had much more time to really work with everything during that time and make the optimizations and changes. The ones that ran Black Week did sell a lot during Thursday. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but I'll see if there are some available data in our library or if I can find something else and I'll put it into the presentation. But generally, yeah, a lot of sales during Thursday if you're running Black Week. Someone asked, do you have any recommendations for Black Friday content that is good for TikTok? Yeah, so for TikTok, we pretty much always want to run user-generated content made by creators. This is pretty much all we do. So either if you're one of those kind of businesses where you can have someone talk to the camera, you can do ambassador or spokesperson ads where he's talking to the camera and he's telling about the Black Friday offers and showing them. But generally, we like to do user-generated content. So you can use Influee or just TikTok creators and write a script and get them to do a video about your Black Friday sale, maybe an unboxing video, maybe a testimonial, Maybe it's just a product demo where they're showing off some products and talking about your Black Friday sale, but you want to make it native, you want to make it great for TikTok. So it's very different from Meta. We almost never run the same ads on TikTok and on Meta. Someone asks, we're a newly started web shop based on Shopify. Do you consider Shopify's own analytics to be sufficient to track all the parameters you mentioned, or would you add GA or something else on top? There are some good tools out there. The majority usually build something in Google Data Studio, which is custom made, but this can be really expensive if you're hiring someone else to do it. There are some tools like Triple Whale, which has a really good e-commerce dashboard system where you can track all these metrics automatically. It's a bit expensive as well, but it's a pretty good option. If you just want to rely on Shopify data, that's fine as well, but you need to build a kind of setup where you can look into blended CAC, blended ROAS, where you can see over time how the total numbers are changing, because the Shopify analytics is not that good. It's super limited with what you can do. So at some point, if you're looking to scale that e-commerce business, you probably want to build a better reporting setup. And we recommend Google's Data Studio. That's how we build the majority of ours. Someone asks here, do you recommend running giveaways on the shop up until Black Friday? Could you, for example, do a giveaway with a spinning wheel during Black Week and find a winner during Black Friday? Well, yes. So every time we're doing a lead ad surrounding a giveaway, we want that to be used across all channels. So let's say we're doing one big giveaway, you can win products for 10,000. Well, then you can also sign up to that during a pop-up on the side. You're also promoting it on Instagram. You're also sending that newsletter out to your existing subscribers. You're also doing a Facebook post. Everything you can do should be centered around the same competition. So it will be one master giveaway where you're getting this funnel to get leads into it, but you only choose one winner. This is a great way to save it, to get spend less money on the giveaway itself and get as much value out of it as possible. So yeah, I think it's better just to do one big Black Friday or Black Week giveaway. That one should be on Cyber Monday or Black Friday, and then you spend from now until then just collecting those leads and just going crazy. All right, next one. What is your opinion on Black Month? Are there any disadvantages by running Black Friday for so long? Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I don't see any clear disadvantages other than the fact that your profitability is going to be low for a whole month. Generally, if you're running big sales, if you're behind on your revenue and you really need to hit those targets, I think it's fine to do it. You really need to be careful about the new Danish marketing law in terms of how long you can run your discounts and when you need to change them. So read up on that. It makes Black Month a lot more difficult this year. There are some gray zones in regards to discount coupons and all that, but I think this year it's more of like a regulatory issue, how you should run it or not. But yeah, I mean, it should provide you a lot more revenue. The question is just whether you have a product that has high enough margins for the whole month to be profitable. Facebook-wise, paid social-wise, there are not any disadvantages with doing paid Black Month, other than everything becomes easier and you have more time to test everything. All right, and if anyone has any questions, you're always welcome to reach out to me. My email is alexander@nordicsocial.dk. I'll be sending out this presentation as a video format as well, and we'll be uploading it to our site. If there are no more questions, I want to thank everyone for coming today. I think it was been really nice to have all of you here, and feel free to reach out if you have any more questions. Thank you, guys.